E-module interactive. E-module interactive.
Assalamualaikum and salam sejahtera. Welcome to ADS 512. Today we will look into chapter 1 of project management, that is the concepts. First, we look into what are the learning objectives. Objective number 1 is to look into the definition of project and what are the attributes to ensure that project can be done successfully. What are the key constraints within a project? Definitely there will be lots of constraints in dealing with a number of projects. How a project is born or how a project is created by organization. Then we will look into the life cycle of a project. There are 4 stages in the life cycle. Then what are the steps involved in the project management process? And lastly, definitely we will look into why we need to learn project management, the benefits or the advantages of learning project management. When we talk about project, it deals with different backgrounds and also we look into different infrastructure, technological and human involvement. For example, in Malaysia, we have a number of projects such as MNC, Malaysia National Car, that was created in 1983. Then we have KLIA, Kuala Lumpur International Airport, that was completed in 1998. And then we have KLCC Twin Tower, and the latest gigantic project that is Smart Tunnel that was completed in 2007. So who are the people involved in this project? Definitely it involves a number of stakeholders including public and private sector, local and foreign companies. But before we look further on into the concepts of project management, let us look into what are the things that we need to know about projects. Definitely we often hear about project being delayed or not completed, projects that are being abandoned, projects that are sick. Why is that? This is because most of the projects are managed by people who are lacking of management skills and knowledge. And one of the reasons for it is because of cost overrun, delay, which is they are not meeting the deadline, and also some of the projects are considered abandoned because it does not meet the specifications or the quality required by the customer. Therefore, we can see here that project management skills and knowledge is crucial and very important for each project managers or the project management teams to know. Let us look at the history of project management. Project has been involved since 2550 BC. That was when the building of Egyptian pyramids was built, and also the Great Wall of China. Most people consider the Manhattan Project to be the first project that used the project management concepts. Project management is being used widely around the world. US, for example, spends 2.3 trillion ringgit on projects every year, and amount equal to 1/4 of the nation's gross domestic product. The world itself as a whole spends nearly $10 trillion of its $40.7 billion gross product on projects of all kinds. From these statistics, we can see that project management is crucial and very important for us to learn the basic techniques, the concepts, and also the skills, the technical skills behind it. The modern project management that was introduced by Henry Gant involves construction, engineering, and defense. Henry Gantt is considered as the forefather of project management. So he was the one who were responsible to introduce the modern project management to the world, and he also introduced of using the Gantt chart to keep tracks of project schedule. We have looked into the history and the introduction of projects. Let us look at the definition of project itself. So what is project? Basically, a project is an endeavor to accomplish a specific objective through a unique set of interrelated tasks and the effective utilization of resources. From this definition, we have looked into the history and also the concepts, the introduction to project. Let us look at what is the actual definition of a project. A project is an endeavor to accomplish a specific objective through a unique set of interrelated tasks and the effective utilization of resources. From this definition, we can see the key word in this definition is a project must have objective, must have interrelated tasks, and also resources. What are the attributes of a project? Attributes are the characteristics of a project. First, it must have a well-defined objective. Projects must be done based on an objective. If there are no objectives, then that particular thing cannot be considered as a project. Secondly, project must consist of interdependent tasks. Thirdly, it must consist of utilizes various resources. Resources can be people, material, facilities, equipment, and so forth. Project must have a specific time frame. There must be a schedule to make sure that the project can be completed on time. Project must have a customer. Definitely, we complete a project for the purpose to fulfill the requirements of your customer. And lastly, of course, project must also involves a degree of uncertainty or risks. We can see that there are different examples of a project. Project not necessarily involve architecture or engineering. It can be also the managerial part. Wedding, birthday parties also considered as a project. Why? Because birthday parties, weddings also consist of time, budget, and also scope. Blood donation also considered as a project. As we can see in the example, the objective of blood donation is to collect as much blood as possible for a hospital, and to conduct this blood donation project, it consists of interdependent tasks. For example, we need to clean the hall, we need to set up the bed and devices, and also we need to assign the medical assistants that are part of the resources. The time frame for the blood donation is from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And who are the customer? Definitely the public hospitals and also the public as well. When we do blood donation, it also involves uncertainty. For example, bad weather, no attendees, failure of devices, and shortage of volunteers. According to Stephen Robbins, project management is the task of getting a project's activities done on time, within budget, and according to specifications. While Cathy Schwalbe stated that project is the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to project activities in order to make or to meet project requirements. From this definition, we also can see Stephen Robbins and Cathy Schwalbe are talking about the same concepts or the same attributes, that is schedule, budget, and scope. When we carry out project, there will be constraints. Therefore, as a project manager, we need to know what are the constraints in implementing projects. Constraints consist of 4 things or 4 items that are scope, cost, schedule, and customer satisfaction. Let us look at the first one. The first constraint is scope. Scope is all the work that must be done to satisfy the customer and also to fulfill the requirements and acceptance by the customer. All products and services must be produced within the project. The problem is that some project management team or most of the project managers, they are unable to perform or to comply to the scope that has been agreed by the customers and the contractors. Therefore, this can be one of the constraints. The second constraint is cost. Cost is the amount the customer has agreed to pay for acceptable project deliverables. That is based on the budget that will be used to accomplish the project. Basically, the cost or the budget is given by the customer. However, there are certain conditions where the contractor or the consultants will be carry out the project over the budget given by the customer. The third constraint is schedule. Schedule is a timetable that specifies when each activity should start and finish. Normally, the customer will give a specific date or time frame to the contractor or consultants to complete a project. But due to uncertainty or unforeseen circumstances, that particular timetable or schedule cannot be completed by the contractor. And the last constraint is customer satisfaction, which includes the performance, the quality of the deliverables produced by the contractors or consultants. Therefore, as a project manager, he or she must ensure that the project constraints can be balanced. Everything must be done according to the customer's requirement to make sure that they are satisfied with the performance and the deliverables produced by the contractors. When it comes to project, we must remember that everything must be done according to the triple triangle of project management. That is schedule or time, budget or cost, and also scope and requirements. When these three elements are being fulfilled by the project management team, therefore they can produce a quality product or a quality project as required by the customers or by the project sponsors. However, as we mentioned previously, when we carry out project, there will be unforeseen circumstances. During the project, it's sometimes challenging to balance these factors, which often constrain one another and can jeopardize to accomplish the project objective. To help assure the achievement of the project objective, therefore, it's important to develop a plan before you start the project, rather than starting without a plan. So a baseline plan is very crucial when it comes to project management, because that one will be the blueprint for all the project team. Lack of a plan decreases the chances of successfully accomplishing the full project scope within budget and on schedule. So what are the project management actions? As a project manager, you must be able to prevent and also to anticipate what will happen in the future. You should be able to know how to overcome all these risks or unforeseen circumstances. Project manager must have a good planning, and the most important part is communication. You must be able to communicate with all the stakeholders, including your team members. And project manager must be responsible towards all actions taken by the project team to ensure that the project is carried out effectively. Let us look at the project life cycle. Each project are born and a need is identified by the customer. Project life cycle is very lengthy. It can be few weeks, it can be several months, it can be several years. Bear in mind, not all projects formally go through all these 4 phases of the project life cycle. In this graph, we can see that project life cycle consists of 4 stages, that is initiating, planning, performing, and closing. And from the graph, we can see that performing is the longest path in the project life cycle. Let us look at the first stage, that is initiating. Initiating is where we identify the needs, problems, and opportunities arises from the project. Here, we will determine whether we want to proceed with the project or not. In the first stage, the customer will develop a project charter that is to rationalize why the project is selected. We look into what are the objectives of the project, the expected benefits, and the general requirements and conditions of the project. Once the project is selected, then the customer will decide if RFP is needed. RFP is request for proposal, or in a normal term, it is known as tender. Once the customer or the organization decided to proceed with the project, then they will come up with the RFP. Then we go to the second phase of project life cycle, that is planning. Planning is where we will define the scope of the project or what are the requirements to be accomplished. Here, we will plan the work, and definitely we will need to work on the plan. Under planning phase, we will develop a baseline plan. So what are baseline plan? Baseline plan consists of what are the things need to be done, that is the scope deliverables. What are the things or how it will get done, that is the activity sequence. Who will do it, or the people, the responsible person. How long will it take, that is the durations, and the cost involved in the budget. And also we need to remember that we need to include the risk management plan under the planning phase. Planning is basically a blueprint plan or a baseline plan that will be used by the project manager and the project team throughout the project implementation until the closing phase. Therefore, planning is considered one of the important phases under project management. Once the project has been planned and we have come up with a baseline plan, we will proceed to the next phase, that is performing phase. Performing phase is considered very crucial and very important. Here is where we will ensure that the project objectives can be accomplished. Project manager must make sure that he or she leads the project team to make sure that the project can be completed. Under performing stage, the project manager must increase the pace as more resources are needed. Here, the project manager also must monitor and control the progress of the project to make sure that everything is done according to the time frame. If there are any risks occur or any problems identified, project managers must take immediate corrective action. He or she must be able to manage and control the changes, but whatever the changes need to be made must be discussed with the customer. The last phase is closing phase. Closing phase is the final phase in the project life cycle. This is where the project manager must make sure that all payments are made to the contractors or to the subcontractors if there are any of them involved in the project. The project manager also must make sure that he or she has collected the money from the customers. Under closing phase also, the project manager must call for a meeting, or we call it as a post-project evaluation meeting, or sort of like a post-mortem meeting with the staff for him or he to recognize and evaluate the performance of the staff. And each of these evaluation must be documented, and also the project team must learn from the documents that has been documented. All the project documents must be archived for future reference and also for record purposes. From this project life cycle, let us proceed to the project management process. Project management process is where you plan the work and then working with the plan. There are many phases or many steps under project planning process. It involves project objective. You need to establish project objective. You need to define the scope, create WBS or work breakdown structure. Under planning, you need to assign responsibilities or the people who are involved in the project. You need to define the specific activities involved in the project. What are the sequence activities? Estimate activity resources and durations. Develop a project schedule. Estimate activity costs. And the last one is to determine the budget. For WBS, responsibility assigned and also the sequence activities will be discussed in detail in chapter 5 and 6. Lastly, let us look at the benefits of project management. Why we need to learn project management? Definitely, when we learn about project, with all the skills, knowledge, we can be able to satisfy our customers. Secondly, when we have the knowledge in project management, we can have an additional business and we can expand our career opportunities. If you're interested to become a project manager, you can apply to be a member of PMI, that is Project Management Institution, and you can be a professional project manager by taking a professional exam, that is PMP. The next benefit of project management is that we can satisfy of being on a winning team. And also the last benefit is that of course we can improve knowledge and skills. Remember, when projects are successful, everybody wins.